Hello everybody, good morning here from the makers. My name is Steffi and today you're watching me because you are interested in the unwrapping of our of our August subscription boxes. This year is racing away from me. I cannot believe how fast things are going at the moment. And of course, it's the Panda Bear, which I will show you a little bit more in a minute. And then we have got the Love in the Mist Fairies, makes 2 fairies, and we've got our surprise box, which is the Into the Wild surprise box. There you go, got it in writing as well. And what you can expect from today, if you're a first time watcher, then basically I will show you some tips and techniques on the 2 projects, the fairies and the panda, and I will tease you like crazy when it comes to the surprise box, but I can't show you what's inside. However, we do have a secret, well, it's not secret, but it's a surprise spoiler Facebook group. You can find that, the Makers Surprise Spoiler group, and there you can already see the contents, what's inside, and some explanations too. Right, so let's have a look who's watching today. It's quite a small crowd. Hopefully more people will join us, but we have got here Diane, Serena, Awkward Prawn, Meg. Emma, of course, is supporting in my ear. So if there are any questions you have got, or if you want to see things that I maybe haven't shown properly, then do pipe up. And then we have got Serena. Oh no, I've said that already. And Michael. So welcome everybody. So let's maybe, what shall we start with? What do you reckon? Shall we start with the surprise box? Often we don't start with the surprise box. Let's start with that one. So the surprise box, typically, this is actually our number 30. So we've been doing them for 1.5 years now. The surprise box typically comes in this box. It always comes in this box. You get in there lots of interesting fibers and sometimes accessories too. And this one I will just show you before I unwrap it. I will just show you what will greet you when you open it up, and it looks like this. Ta-da! Gives you a bit of a giveaway into the wild, how wild you could be going. You can go really wild or not at all wild. I love the fact that people use the contents of the boxes and make something entirely different, which is great. So we have got in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fibers this time and 1 accessory. How can I describe this box without giving anything away? It's definitely, I would say, definitely animal colors of the wild, and maybe looking a little bit autumnal as well. So that's all I'm going to say, nothing else. But there are 1, 2, 3 brand new fibers in there that none of you have ever seen from us. And there's one all-time favorite in there that Emma really loves. So I'll let you guess which one that might be. Remember, we do have a subscription box competition, which we start. This is on our Everyone a Maker Facebook group that you can join by just answering a few questions, and you can submit a photo of what you have made from from any of our subscription boxes, and that enters you into our competition. I'm not entirely sure Emma will help me out here if we have decided what next month's competition is. We always let this run over into the following months because not everybody gets their boxes right at the beginning. Remember your subscription boxes. There's no contract. You manage them. You can skip boxes, you can cancel anytime, you can change your payment date for those who want it right at the beginning, and if you move, you can change your address there. If you need to put a different card against it, you can do that too. All down to you. That doesn't mean to say that you can't get in touch with us if you need any help with any of this admin stuff. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So do get in touch if you need any help. But the main thing is that if you're not a subscriber yet, consider it at least, because they are really good value for money. The boxes themselves, if they were kits, they would be almost twice as much. And you certainly save 20% with a fairy box. And the makers boxes, we often turn them into packs, and then they're a lot more expensive. So, right, what shall we do next? Shall we do the panda? Let's do the panda, because I think the panda is the one that a lot of people have been waiting for. So he's a cup basically. He's a panda cup. He comes with you just want to cuddle him, don't you? Look, imagine holding a little panda bear like this. Hello, sweetie pie. I want to kiss him, but he might end up with a bit of red lipstick stick on him. Oh, look, he's really cuddly. He's holding on. Holding on. There, look. Isn't he sweet? So he's meant to be a baby. And you get a little bit of, you actually get more than this green in there, but you get 10 grams of Australian merino green in there, so you can make him a cozy bed. Now, I was inspired by these panda bears because obviously they are under threat. I think they're not as under threat anymore as they have been. But there are lots of sort of panda nurseries that mainly in China where you can see all these pandas, and it almost looks like they're playing like crazy, and then suddenly they all crash at the same time and they're slouching around, and it's a slouching panda cup. So you can put him in different position. Sometimes they fall asleep with their head resting on a tree branch, and the rest is just hanging all over the place. So he is fairly posable. He has got a little bit of wire in his legs, and then he certainly has got a wire going from his head into his body. And what I thought I'd do today is I'm going to show you how to make the legs. So that's the technical bit about the panda bear, is how to make the legs on the panda bear. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move him to one side, not too far, so you can still see him, maybe here. There. Can have a little lie down there, and I'm going to take you what's in the box first. So let's have a look on the overview camera. There you go. So the box has got, as always, your instructions in there, which are full step-by-step color instructions, take you from the beginning all the way to the end. There is a template in this one, and this is what I was talking about in terms of the slouching panda bears. So they really do hang out, these little panda bear cups. I really love that, that they sort of just literally flop. When they're tired, they just flop and then they go to sleep. So there's your template at the back. We always have a little newsletter with all of our boxes, with the exception of the surprise box that has just got a list of the fibers and the accessories that are in there. Always tell you what's next month. Coming up is a puppy. And then for October, we've got a baby gorilla, and November, a snowy owl. So we talk a little bit about the panda bear. One really intriguing factor I didn't know until I made a panda bear cup was that panda cups are born hairless and a little premature. The mother bear will hold her baby in her paws for the first week, where it will continue to develop. Did you know that in 2016, the International Union for Conservation of Nature reclassified the giant panda from endangered to vulnerable? And in July this year, Chinese authorities did the same. So if you make a panda bear, if you see a panda bear baby that is brand new, it's 1/900th of the weight of the panda bear. Think about that, 1/900th. So if it weighed 1 gram or 1 kilo, the panda bear mum would weigh 900 kilos. It's 1/900th of the mum. Our newsletter for August, brand new, you probably haven't seen this, but we've got the curly hedgehog on the back there. On popular demand, everybody wanted to know how to make a curly hedgehog, so there you have it. And let's see what's inside the box. This is probably one of the last boxes that you will see with our Ziploc bags. We are changing to a compostable, I want to say plastic bags, but they're obviously not plastic anymore, but they are really nice. You can't tell that they're compostable until you put them in your compost, and then they disappear. So you get a lot of our favorite lanolin rich core wool in there. You also get the stone lamb, the natural stone lamb in there. And then this is the green wool I was telling you about. And then what's special about this box is a lot of you have probably worked with the Cape Merino, which is quite a short fiber before, but now we've got a black version in there as well. And these two work perfectly for the panda bear. It's almost like these two wools were made for it. So I'm going to keep some of this out. In your first box, if you're a first-time subscriber, you get our Eco wool mat and a full set of felting needles in there as well. 6 felting needles, 2 medium, 2 coarse and 2 fine. You will also get little or not so little glue-in black glue in ice, so you can't really see them, but they're in there, trust me. And then you get your wire for the legs. So you've got two different wires. This one is our favorite steel wire, and you get a shorter wire for the head. So all I need today, because I'm showing you how to make the legs, I need today this one here, the black, and I need the lanolin rich. You make the whole bear and it already looks black and white because you're using the two main colors, but you're not going to use these two here because they are for the very end when you cover him, when you decorate his outer. So I'm going to put this away. Now if you want to make the bear in different colors, then somebody asked that just then, with the black and the white. I mean, you can use all kinds of other colors. If you're thinking of colored colors, I don't really have a solution in terms of the shorter fiber Cape Merino. It's a very special, such a special wool. It's got really short fibers, but you could use a really soft wool such as our Australian merino bats, and we do these in different colors. So I think we've got, well, the olive green, we have got the I don't know if you're going colorful or if you're just wanting another natural color. In terms of natural colors, short fibers, we've got the Portuguese merino and the hair brown. They're very similar to the Cape Merino in the shortness of the fibers. Okay, we're not talking about Panda, we're talking about short fibers. Okay, so the most similar in natural colors would be the Portuguese merino and the Cape Merino, and I think to create that really nice softness, I would go for Australian merino bats. That's what I can offer. Right, okay. Sorry, that was a misunderstanding. Right, let's have a look at technical tips, and let's make the legs of the panda bear. I'm going to do this on the overview camera. Now I'm going to go straight to the page where the legs are starting, which is quite at the beginning. So I'm going to take one of these wires here, and for the front legs you take the whole wire, and then you're going to use the black natural, we call it natural because it is actually has got very little dyed fibers in there. It's from a stone sheep lamb, which means it is a naturally black sheep. Haha, black sheep. I'm one of those. And you can tease off a strand of wool if you try and do this sort of lengthways rather than shortening the fibers. Keep it so that you've got a nice long strand, and all you're going to do is you're going to wrap the wool around this wire. Now I have got a really useful trick here. If you're struggling to get the wool to grip into the wire. Now this steel wire, it has got sort of almost like a serrated top, and it's really quite easy to get the wool to stick to it. But if you really, this is something new that I've been trying, is just use your, we love these glue sticks, by the way. Use the glue stick and just put the tip of the wire inside, just so that you get a little bit of glue here onto the end, just a little bit. And that really helps to establish the wool. So wrap the wool around the wire. You do need to bend the ends in later. We're not going to do that yet, so you don't need to worry about these sharp ends here. We bend the ends in later, and you just keep going along the whole of the wire. This does not need to be neat because this is literally the inside. This is another way of wrapping wool around the wire, where you turn the whole thing round. So instead of going round and round and round, which you can do, and notice that I'm keeping this wool flat, you can turn it literally the whole thing the other way around, and then just twist the wire and let the wool run through your fingers to grip onto that wire here. You will see on the pictures that I have taken, I've on purpose made it look a little bit less neat than what I'm doing now, because it really does not need to be neat. When you get to the end of your strand, all you've got to remember is go back to where you started, take another strand of the wool, And then remember that you started from this end, so you also need to start wrapping the wool around from that end again. So don't try and wrap the wool so that it goes in the opposite direction from what you wrapped before. The challenge is that this is a really long wire, and it flicks around, so mind you don't poke it in your eyes, and just wind the wool around it until you get to the very, very end. So that will take a little while. You don't need to needle felt it down. Trust me, you're going to add more layers onto it. Unless the wool is falling off, then you could give it a few stabs. And make sure that you avoid the wire as best as you can, because it does break needles. So I'm going to be on my third strand of wool now. So this is for the front legs. We were doing the front legs of the panda bear, just to remind everybody. And going on to another strand. There we go. Turn it the way round again how you started, and then add the next strand to it. So you need to be mindful about keeping the wool flat whilst you're wrapping it. Wrapping it in the same direction at all times. So keep remembering where you started out. And then you can also twist the wire and let the wool run through your fingers. Because the wire is so long, it really is hard to do a nice job on it, but it is a neat job on it. It really isn't that important that you get it 100% right. You can use glue along the wire as well. It's going to be hard sticking the wire into the glue nozzle, but you can just add a tiny bit if that makes you feel happier, if you find it a bit unnerving that it's so unneat. As long as the wool stays on there, we're good. There you go. So it's not very neat looking. And now what you're going to do is you're going to bend in the end of this wire by 7 centimeters on both ends. And if you want to know what 7 centimeters is, in case you don't have a tape measure, all of our instructions have got this tape measure here by the side. So I know exactly what 7 centimeters are. And I'm going to try and follow my own instructions. So you just literally bend it in on one side, and then you do the other side as well, 7 centimeters. So you've got a funny looking contraption like that now. And now you're going to cover all of this with the same wool over again, and you're building up the layers a little bit more, so that the overall thickness is about 2 centimeters. So you can measure that against the tape measure as well, but you're literally going over it and covering the legs that way. So again, remember, you need to go in the same direction. You can felt this down with your coarse needle in between as well. I haven't even got a felting mat out yet. But you can felt this down, and then what you might find is that some bits are thinner and some bits are thicker, and that way you can level it out. Just apply the wool where it needs to be, and then felt it down again. So you're literally covering the whole wire again, but this time it's shorter because you've got the bent in end parts. I'm going over it and felt it down as you go, which I will do in a minute. And then make sure that it measures about 2 centimeters. That's the main thing you need to remember here. So we're not using the nice short Cape Merino. You will definitely not be able to use that to wrap the wire. It is such a short fiber. So we're definitely not doing that with the beginning of the legs. We're using the 2 short fibered wools, the Cape Merinos, for the cover on the bear at the very end. So you've got a set of legs here now. I'm just going to get my felting mat. There we go. My nice white earth mat, which won't be white for very long once I start felting into it. And then use your coarse needle, felt into it, mind the wire, so go past it. That's not a coarse needle. What are you doing, Steffi? Right. Need my white needle from my standard. That's much better. There we go. So I'm just felting into the side, felting down the lumpy bits. I'm actually going into my earth mat, so I need to lift the legs off. I'm only doing this to make it nice and even, and to make sure that the wool doesn't fall off. If you felt it down and you find, oh, you know, a little bit too thin on one or the other part, then just add a little bit more. But it's not the end of the world if it's a bit thin, because you can add more wool later when it's already on the panda bear. So when you've done this, then you're going to take your shape that you've made earlier, as I made mine earlier, and then you're putting these legs around the neck of the panda bear like that, and they are sort of slightly positioned forward, so you have to imagine that that is the shoulder part of the panda bear, and then you felt it down basically. So you felt into these bits on the, so it's actually quite good that the legs aren't wrapped too tight and then felt it down too much, because you still need to catch these wispy ends on the outside of the wire. And you're doing this all the way around, and that could take sort of a little while to make it nice and solid, so that you don't have too big a sausage sticking up there. And so do felt it all the way around. You can use a 3-needle tool. You just need to be really careful that you don't with one of the needles stab into the wire. And you should be able, it should be so well fastened on that you can lay your panda bear out like that, so that the arms can sort of stretch forward. That is how it should be felted on really, really well. So this, you need to work a little bit more on this. But I want to show you now how you're doing the hind legs in comparison. So use the other bit of wire. Now this time you're going to wrap it in white with a lanolin rich core wool, exactly the same. So I'm wrapping this now really quickly in the lanolin rich core wool. This one will stick a little bit better to itself because of the lanolin content, which is one of our favorite wools, because it has such a lovely almost Velcro like. You can see it already that you can make much tighter wraps and much faster. So wrap the whole wire as you did with a black, but this time you're doing it all in white, all the way across. Do this, definitely do it slower than I do. I'm just doing it so that you get the idea of it. So be a little bit more careful as I am speeding this up for you. Make it nice and neat. Keep going that way. Always, again, still wrap in the same direction. So remember where you started, always go back to that starting point. Go all the way to the end of this, and then if you need a new strand, tease a new strand out like that. The wool really is really lovely, and it's really elastic, so you can make it nice and tight to fit onto the wire. Go round it and then speed it up by twisting that, or whichever way you prefer. Keep wrapping it. I'm doing a lot of this work left-handed, even though I am right-handed. You find the way, whatever suits you best. You find your own preferred way of doing things, as long as you know what you're trying to do is, which basically cover this wire with wool. You find a way of whatever works best for you. Everybody's different, so you find your own way as well, or you might do it exactly like me. Well, we'll be the same then, like twins. Right, so let's get to the end, and this time you're bending the wire in again 7 centimeters, but then something else happens. So bend it in by 7 centimeters on both ends, measuring that against my mat here. But now you're going to wrap these 2 parts here, these bits here, from here to there down to the bend. You're wrapping it in the black wool, so that will make now the hind legs. And so you need to just make sure that you wrap all of this nicely. If you've got a white tip there, then cover it with a bit of black. I'll show you in a minute how to do that. So do wrap the whole parallel wires with the black wool till you get to the single white layer wire. And again, you need to do that 2 centimeters, and that creamy part here at the top should be up to 1 centimeter thick. So that that's basically doing that. Now to get the end covered, this bit here, just take a little bit of wool and you could layer it up and then just fold it over the top and felt it down with you're using your coarse felting needle again. Felt it down over the leg. I nearly said over the egg, over the leg, and then that basically makes your one of the hind legs in black, 2 centimeters wide. There you go. And then you repeat this on the other side. You have probably guessed that already. We want all 4 legs to be black. Panda bears, when you look at them, they have such distinct markings, and they're all sort of in principle the same. But then when you look at different panda bears, they all have them slightly different. So you think in the big picture, when you look at them, you think, oh yeah, they're all the same, but they're actually not. Some have got bigger eye pads, some have got more black around the shoulders, some have got the black goes all the way down to the chest. So in many ways, you still designing a lot of this panda bear in your own way. So don't just get it roughly in the right place, and then if it's slightly bigger or slightly smaller, that's fine too. Cover that end here as well. Don't even know if that's in the instructions, but anyway, that I think I'm just sort of assuming you know how to do that. But that's why we've got these extra technical sessions here, so that you get the help that you need. So felt this down well. I'm not felting it down as well as I could do, all along the leg as well. And now this time you are attaching this to almost to his bum, as if it's almost as if it's slipping off. So you've got this sitting like that, so that the legs are slightly pointing forward, and still, as you did before, you stab the wool in that's around the wire into the main body, but pretty much you're already then putting a wad of wool onto him, so that just get it on so that it's fastened on, and then use a little bit more of the wool. You sort of almost think of a nappy, like you're putting a nappy on him, so that you literally putting that around that joint and around his bum, and felt that down as well. So that is just a little help to give you an idea of how you're fastening the legs on, because you've got a wire in there. It is they are posable, the legs, but they're not going to be as stiff as you imagine them to be, because the wire is relatively thin and weak in comparison to the size of what you're making. But you do have the scope of bending the leg, so the leg does bend if you want it to bend, and then you can pose them. Of course, you're putting more layers onto him, because you're adding that fluffy top layer onto there. However, make sure that these legs are a good size before you add the fluffy wool on the top. So you will be putting more of the natural black on there. You've got plenty of that. Use that to build the finished size, and then use the fluffy black Cape Merino to finish him off with his fluffy coat. And I thought I'd show you that. He looks a little bit like a sprawled out, half finished panda, which is exactly what he is. Right, moving on from the panda. Remember, you can ask us lots of questions as well. If you need to ask us questions on our Facebook group, Everyone a Maker, you can message us, of course, as well. If you ask questions on Everyone a Maker, sometimes they get answered before we get to it, and that is also quite nice. That we've got a lovely community there who are very helpful and keen to help others in a really nice way. Everybody's really super friendly. We only have nice people on that group, so it's definitely, don't ever feel you can't ask questions or anything like that. Right, I'm going to put the panda back up here again, because it's fairy time. But I'm going to have a little look what's happening here on the chat. Oh, Diana Old Egg, nearly missed. Diana, you nearly missed us. You don't make mistakes. It's us who makes the mistakes, and you find them. But you're here now. That's the main thing. animals. Want something. Oh yes, okay, that was Ashley's question. What else we can use? Oh, Awkward Prawn says pandas and puppies and gorillas and owls. Oh my, exciting. Oh, that sounds, it does sound like really nice animals, doesn't it? Who else? Oh, Erica has just joined as well. Hello, Erica. And actually, I am not entirely sure, Diana, that a panda bear is not a giant panda is a bear. I think you might be thinking of the red panda, maybe. When I researched the panda bear, they made lots of references to other bears, like because a lot of bears give birth premature. Well, it's not premature. It's it's to their term, but it is as if the baby is premature. It's so tiny in comparison to where it's growing into, and it's so vulnerable that the mum has to hold it in her paw for a week at least because it just wouldn't live otherwise. So I'd be really interested to find out, because I'm definitely under the impression that the panda bear is a bear, and I think maybe you might get confused with the red panda, but I stand corrected if I'm wrong. So let's find out before the end of this live stream whether a panda bear is a bear or something else. What is it if it's not a bear? And let's move on to the fairies. So the fairies, every time I say this, I know I say this, I love these fairies so much. They are just so, I had such a lovely time taking lots of photos with them. Just look at them. Aren't they sweet? They're just, look, they've got their arms around each other. How lovely is that? So in my mind, they're a boy and a girl. And I did make the boy blue, and I made the girl pink, and the girl is shorter than the boy. Very stereotypical. That's what I did. You don't have to do this. You can make them whatever you want them to be. They do have little hats on, which are real love in a mist dried flower heads. So really sweet. And I'm just going to show you them on the larger overview camera so you can see them even closer up. So they have very thin arms and legs. Can I just entangle you two? I know you want to be together. But oh, look at them. Oh, look, they're holding on even there. So one of them has got a face because some of you might like making faces. It's optional. You have the wool in there to make them, because the eyes is the blue that the boy in my in my example has, and the mouth is what the girl wears as a dress. However, they don't have to be anything. You can just make them however you like. And I thought, because they're so easy to make and so dainty and so lovely to show off, I thought I'd make a whole one. A whole fairy for you as a special treat, and I think I'm going to make the little blue one, not the little pink one. So, but first of all, let's have a look what's in the box, and we've got plenty of time to do this too. So the fairy, oh, it's upside down. We're at number 17. We're way into our second year of the fairy boxes. Let's just leave you sitting here, or maybe you can have a little lie down. Let's put the arms around you again, because you like doing that, don't you, you two? There you go. So the fairy box is as always in our A5 flat box that fits through most people's letterboxes. And I'm going to just open this. They get posted out in nice pink envelopes, and somebody posted on social media the other day how much they love receiving their pink envelopes. There you go. So and the makers boxes, I should just say, get sent out in red envelopes and red packaging. And I know that at least of one cat who loves it very much, Chandra's cat, or cats I should say, they fight over it. So in the fairy box, you also get a little newsletter. I didn't know this, and this is genuine. I didn't know that the meaning of a love in a mist fairy, not the fairy, but the love in a mist flower, is actually, now what did we say? Oh yes, The flower is also a symbol of the bonds that bind people together. I genuinely didn't know this. I made 2 fairies because I felt it needed to be 2, and then I realized that the symbol of the flower is the bond that bind people together, and so of course you need 2 at least, if not more. This also reminds me to remind you of the sub club that you are entitled to if you're a subscriber, which basically means that you get discounts 20% on in August on all loopy locks and mohair yarns, all glue and eyes, basic core wool, red squirrel kit, harvest mouse kit, and dormouse kit ready for the autumn, plus the fiber and product of the month. And the fiber of the month is the green rainbow drop, and the product of the month is our horsetail hair for making whiskers. So coming up in September is the pumpkin fairy, in October the moonstone fairy, and November the Christmas tree fairy. I already know what December is, and I'm so excited by it. I'm just going to whisper it to you. It's the fireworks fairy. I can't wait for her. She's going to be so much fun. Right. Love in the Mist fairy. We have got the instructions here. Again, for this particular fairy, it's just one set of instructions, and then the blue and the pink fairy, they run parallel. So you can go to this stage for both, pretty much the same with the exception of the length of the legs if you want to make them different lengths, and then you can see that we actually refer to them as girl and boy, but as I say, you don't have to do that. That's just how we've done it, and they really lend themselves to making lots of them because they're just so delightful. I love the flowers too. In your fairy box, you get the flesh pink, which makes the arms and the face and the head, I should say. You get the dried flowers. In fact, you get four of those. You have got one of our mini eco wool mats in there because these tiny fairies, you do need to rest them on a felting mat, and you also get a fine needle because that's all you need to felt into the fine extra fine merino wool butts here, and it works for these 2 colors there as well. And then you've got the Australian multi-tone green wool top in there as well. So let's take it all out because I need it all, and of course you've got your wire. I'm going to make, well actually I could use the pink for the mouth, but I'm going to make the blue fairy. So hopefully you're ready for this. I'm going to open the instructions up so that I stick to them. It's not that I don't know how to make them, it's just I always make them in a different way second time round, so I'm trying to stick to it. So you take one of your flexible steel wires, which is just one here, put the other one away, and you wrap the end about 1 centimeter in. So I'm wrapping the end of the flexible steel wire using a tiny wispy bit of the wool, 1 centimeter. And with this one, you don't need to be so precise, but you can just bend the end of that wire in now, so you're trapping the wool. So whatever happens, whatever you're building up on there, that ball of wool for the head will not come off, and then you continue wrapping the wool around it. What I do is, and I hold my finger roughly to where I don't want the wool to go further down the wire, so that I don't suddenly end up with the wool slipping down. I want it to really be focused and concentrated on the very top, and then you add a little bit more, same as before. You or same as always, I should say, you wrap the wool in the same direction, keep building up the layers. And with these fairies, they have actually got quite small heads, so you can start this down before now, but it's no bigger than 2 centimeters. So take your eco wool mat. If you're not seen our eco wool mats, they come in all of our kits now. You take the label off, obviously, just tells you what you need to do, which I'm telling you now. You have got a Hessian side. Some of the wool mats are slightly different. They've just come out different from the manufacturers. In any case, you never needle felt onto the Hessian. You always felt onto the wool top. So even if you had it that way, that would be fine too, as long as you don't felt onto the Hessian. I mean, to be honest, you could even do that. It's not the end of the world. And you take your fine felting needle, and then you're going to, first of all, stab into that area under the head where the wire pokes out, because you want to keep it nice and round. So stab in there first and tuck the wispy fibers in. I think I showed something like that with the dragonfly fairy, because I showed you how to make the head, because it was a new technique. So you fairy subscribers, you will have done this last time. The only difference is that this head is even a little bit smaller, because the fairies are even a little bit tinier than dragonfly fairy was last time. So very dainty little fairies. Gonna stab that down. So there you go. And then you're going to assess if it's big enough. If it's not big enough, you add a little bit more. Mine looks perfect. Remember, with these fairies, you only need about 1/4 of the ball facing forward to look perfect. And then what you're going to do next is you cut off a 15 centimeter length from the end of the wire. So there's my head on here. There. From the other end, you cut 15 centimeter off. Oh dear, guess what? My pliers are at the other desk again. I've got to use my scissors. Use pliers if you've got pliers, unless you've got some grotty old scissors that you don't need anymore. 15 centimeters. And then you're going to wrap the arms. This is going to be the arms with a really wispy end of the wool again. This time you have to be really neat. So make sure that you make a really thin cover and nice and tight. So work really close to the wire. Then bend the wire in. So you've got that bend is covered with a pink. It's hard to see, I think. And then you continue wrapping the wool around that bend and along the wire. And you can you see how I'm pulling it tight every time, like really tight when I'm close to the wire. And I'm going to about the middle of it. I'm not going all the way across. Tease this wool out. If it gets too thick, just tease it out and keep the layer nice and thin. Going roughly to the middle, bearing in mind that I need to bend the wire in by about 1/2 centimeter, so not too much. So it's only roughly the middle. And I have too much wool here, so I'm going to have to take some off in a minute. I'll do that now. Just tease a little bit off and make sure that you really secure the end well. So keep wrapping it right to the last tiny single fiber. So you've got a nice tight finish there. I've got a bit of a fluff there, but that's not the end. And then you do the same on the other side for the arms. So start off with a really thin layer, just 1 centimeter in. Bend bend the wire around. Continue going over it with your wool. Tight, keep it tight. Work your way up the arm and keep going round it. Really tight. Again, you can turn it round and do it this way. So twist the wire rather than wrapping the wool. Take a bit off, finish off really, really well. So you've got absolutely no fibers escaping. So now I've got a set of arms basically with a bit of a gap in the middle, like that. And what happens next? I'm going to put these now around my the fairies main wire coming down from the head. And to do this, I'm literally twisting the arms around the main wire. And what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that these arms are obviously the same length now, so undo the twist and just adjust it a little bit if need be, and then you can push them up. So if they're not up yet, push them up, and now you've got the choice to make either longer or shorter legs. And for the shorter legs you cut off 15 centimeters. For the longer legs you cut off 18. There. And I've got to use my scissors again, sorry guys if that's making you really cringe. And then you repeat this for the legs now, but this time with the legs you're going all the way across, so you're not leaving the middle bit uncovered. So start at one end, bend the wire in, same as before, continue along the wire, same as before, keep it nice and tight. I'm going to speed this up a little bit now because I know I can do this faster, but when you're doing it you're obviously probably doing this a lot slower. If the first layer is really thin, you can go over it again, so it doesn't have to stay that thin. Like my first layer of the leg is really thin, so I'm going to go over it again. I tease it to keep the same thickness, and for this one I'm actually going all the way across, all the way across, all the way across if I can. It's just so that I keep wrapping it in the same direction and covering the end, bending it in, and then I've got to go back over it again. So keep wrapping it in the same direction so that you don't unwrap what's underneath it, and you're just keeping putting a tighter layer over the top. That means you always have to remember which side you started. So I'm in the right direction here again because I started at that end. So I'm just giving it another little layer to make the legs less thin. But you can keep them really thin as well. Oh, my wool is coming apart. I have to get back to that part here. Come on, winding it in. There we go. So now I can build up another bit of layer onto that leg. Still very thin at the ankle, but go back again. Okay, that's going to be the end here. And if you have bits sticking out, you can use your fine needle and just go over it. That's absolutely fine. You just have to be really careful not to break your needle, and you might have to sort of just continuously keep turning it. So if you stab into it in really shallow little stabs and keep turning it, and then you might have to go in from the back again because you will have pushed the fiber through the other end, and just keep returning it, keep repeating it. But with your fine needle you should be able to get a nice tight wrap on there. So that are the legs, and then you remember you need to have the arms up here, and now you're fastening the legs onto the main body wire, but this time you're actually wrapping the body wire around the legs, and this should be sort of 2.5 to 3 centimeters away from the head. It's usually the same distance as the head is big, or it could be a little bit more. So just keep going in and out, or in and around the legs, till you can tidy the rest of the wire away along the body of the fairy, and then obviously bend the legs in so you get a good feel for that, where you are with this. So you've got your fairy skeleton almost ready now, and now we need to add wool to it. Now with the girl you're going to add pink straight away. With a boy you're going to stick with this flesh pink for just to get the wire covered up and make sure that the legs and the arms have got a nice securing layer on there. So I'm going around the legs and around the body, just build it up a little bit, and definitely with the arms so that they don't keep flopping around. So use thin layers of that pink wool, and you can bend the arms out of the way, bend the legs out of the way, just put a first layer onto the body, go over the arms to cover them up as well, there, around the body, and then go over the other arm. Just work with small quantities, add more if need be, but it's always a golden rule. Start out small and then add more if need be, until you've got a sort of a very small body here, and then felt this down a little bit. I really love this stage of the fairies because they're starting to take shape like a little body, and it's really sweet to see it all coming to life that way. And the next thing you're going to do is with the blue fairy, you're now going to go onto the green wool tops. Now these green wool tops are quite important. You do need them for the hair. You need them for the underskirt, and you also mix it into the blue wool. So be careful that how you split it. Take it from the side. I would at all points, because then you've got a lot of scope to still use the rest. You have a choice of mixing the colors, picking the colors you want to. And what you're going to do now is you're going to add more body by wrapping this wool top around the boy. And you're also going to wrap this around the top parts of his legs. So you're giving him little shorts. And secure that before you start the next leg. So you're giving him, oh, I've got my needle stuck in the wire there. So you're giving him a little, almost like a little, what are they called, these suits? It's like a leotard, isn't it? Is that what it's called? I think so. So stab all that in for now. And then take another strand. I need a little bit less this time because I've got the leg to do. I don't need to build the body up a bit more. Bend the bits out of the way that you find they're getting in the way. Make similar pair of leggings on the other side. And then he's got stripy one on one side and not stripy ones on the others. On the other, that's fine. If you've gone a bit too far down, and just push it up by felting it up, you can do that too. You'll see a little bit of that. You're not going to see much of the lower part of this particular fairy, because he's got, or she has, whatever they're going to be in your fairying world, has got a sort of a dress or a tunic or whatever you want to call it over it. And then you have to give him sleeves in the same way. So use whatever color you want, because that will be visible. So be mindful of what you're using. I'm going to use, let's use the really nice light green. And then do this on his upper arms, giving him little sleeves. They're so much fun to make. You'll love it. I love when you can pose them into different positions. It always reminds me of yoga positions. And then go around this on the other side. There's no real sort of concept of how you need to wrap this, just know that by the end of it, it needs to look neat. So I need a little bit more on this side here. Where does it need to go there? There we go. Right, and then felt that down as well. So you're just fastening it on. It's really important that you do this with you give him the pink body underneath first, because this flat wool top is not going to build bulk very much, and it also felt much better into the body underneath, rather than using it just as all of that as the base shape. And then if you've got bits that you need to cover up, just do that afterwards. It's got a little pink showing here, so I'm just going to cover that up there and then felt it down. So basically you're dressing him, giving him shorts and short sleeves, and dressing his whole body in this green wool top. If you pick all the same color, then that's fine. The lower part of it you will hardly see, and the upper part will be visible more. So however you want to make this look, the thing about the Love in the Mist, they have got these really wispy green spindly things sticking out. So I quite like it that it already kind of looks that way. So then the last thing that you need to do is you're going to have to mix the blue and the green together. This is only for the boy that you're doing this in that way, that this will be his top coat. The pink one will also have blue, will also have green and pink mixed, which will be her underskirt, and then she has got a total just plain pink top skirt. But for him you need to mix the blue with the green. So, and we want this to be quite how can I say, quite unmixed. You want this to be quite streaky. Don't mix it too much, because these green fibers, they literally look a little bit like the spiky bits that the flowers have got. So keep it relatively unmixed, and then you're going to lay this onto him like that. Felt it down. I know this is a bit of a longer tutorial, but this is basically showing you from beginning to end how to make one of the fairies out of the Love in the Mist fairy. And I've literally got 5 minutes left of the live stream, and I've literally got 2 minutes left to finish him off. Felt this down at the front, one part, and then felt the other part down at the back. So you're letting it spill into his upper body, but not covering it entirely. But it is sort of a wispy transition between the upper body and the sort of skirt, or whatever you want to call it, you're felting onto him. And if you need to shorten that because you want to expose more of his legs, you can tear wisps off. You can even cut it off and then wisp it up again by sort of teasing fibers out of it. There you go. And so you could just tear tiny bits of wool off. So just be careful that you don't tear the whole thing off if you want his legs to be exposed more. You could also just cut it short. I do have some good scissors here as well. So you could cut it short. You could also cut into it like a hairdresser cuts into hair at an angle, and then take the wispy ends out. So there are different ways of shortening his top there. And then finally you're using that green wool again, and this is what I love about it. You're just making the hair with that as well. So take a wisp off, a couple of wisps, and then you just shape this into a wig, basically, however you want this to be. I quite like it that we're doing this the other way this time. So normally we have the folded bit at the front, but this time we're actually doing it the other way. Felt it down. It needs to be really wild. It needs to be wispy. So give him a wild hairdo. And remember that he's going to have that dried flower on his head. And of course, if you want to give him a face, then you can give him a face. We have got tutorials on our playlist on our YouTube channel. So you can definitely look that up. But it also tells you in the instructions of how to do it. But if you need to see it done, then you can. And just keep it like he's sort of a bit of a wild boy or a wild girl. You do the same for the girl. And then you've got your little Love in the Mist fairy there. You've got your dried flowers in your pack. Take them out, and you can put, well, I've put the blue obviously onto the boy. And I've put it at a slight angle, a bit like a beret. And all you need for that is a dab of glue. Put it on his head where the flower is going, or put it on the flower, doesn't really matter. Dab it on, and there you go. You've got already a whole set there. You've got an extra one, and that is basically how one of the little Love in the Mist fairies is made. There you go. And then you can pose their arms, and they can hang out, and they can have their arms up in the air, and they can do all kinds of things, whatever you want them to do. Skip, dance, run into your arms, run into each other's arms, all of that. Right, so that was a slightly longer technical bit on the fairy boxes today, but as there are two, I thought it might be nice to make one. I do have a couple of things to say. I still want to find out if a panda bear is a bear, so I don't know if somebody, if Emma can whisper that in my ear. But I will also just tell you one thing is that we have got the next live stream, which is already tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So if you haven't had enough of me today yet, you can watch tomorrow to make this part 2 of the mermaid, which I'm really looking forward to. Now we've got the awkward boob job out of the way. We have just released our winter retreat dates, which is the 28th to the 30th of January 2022. Oh my goodness. I saw a really funny thing the other day where somebody said, can you please take 2020 out of can you please take 2020 out of my age, because I didn't really live that year, and I totally second that. So 2022 it is, winter retreat, 28th to 30th of January. What do we do? It's at Hawkwood College in Stroud in Gloucestershire. Beautiful old building. The food is to die for, all organic food, homegrown wherever possible. And it's suitable for beginners as well as seasonal needle felters. So it's about friendship, it's about chilling, relaxing, enjoying, learning something new, taking away a finished project. We haven't decided the project yet, but it will be something that you will enjoy. I can guarantee you that. Look at our reviews on our website. All of our past reviews retreats have had raving reviews, and we get repeat offenders every time, guarantee you. And then, as if that isn't enough, I will just remind you, we have got a handful of advent calendars left for this year, 2021. They will be posted out at the end of October, ready for the 1st of December. And I think that's probably all I've got to say, which was a lot today, I give you that. But please do give us a thumbs up, like our tutorials, subscribe to our channel, tell your friends about it, and if you're a first-time viewer today, pop onto there tomorrow. You get a chance to win a prize. As with all of our live streams, and our tutorials stay on YouTube, so you can always revisit them. Good thing is you can press the pause button then, well, you can press it now too, but there you can also fast forward, which you can't do right now. So anyway, take care everybody. I will see you tomorrow, and I can't wait to see your panda bears, your fairies, and whatever you're making from the surprise box into the wild. Bye for now. See you tomorrow or whenever. Bye.